It's 2024. Happy New Year, and welcome to another episode at Life Talks. I'm Ben. I'm here with Dan. We are the teaching pastors at Life Fellowship Church here in Cornelius, North Carolina. Dan, how was your New Year's?
Well, I don't remember because I was unconscious, but not because I was
under the you were not inebriated.
No, I went to bed like at 10:30, I think it was.
Yeah, I was in bed by 10:30. I mean, really, I was complaining about this the other day in staff meeting. What's the big deal about New Year's?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, okay, there's another year, but why do we have a day off? I don't get why we have an actual day off, besides people recovering from a hangover.
Well, I think that's why.
Is it just because of that?
Well, but other cultures really celebrate New Year. Like
Chinese do.
The Chinese go nuts over New Year. And
but they don't have the same New Year as us, do they?
No, it's called Tet, and it comes later on in the...
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to do a fun episode, Dan, we're going to start our first podcast with predictions. We're going to do a predictions episode.
Called the Life Talk Psychic Hotline.
And so you brought this up before we recorded, the Karnak character that Johnny Carson, he'd hold the
with
envelope
Ed McMahon, up. Yeah.
And so we're going to...
2/3 of our audience have no idea what we're
Younger listeners, Michael Scott held this up to his forehead in the office.
He tried to do that.
So now I don't know what you're talking about.
Office!
I don't watch The Office, I know.
I know. That should be a New Year's resolution for you.
That's Star Wars. I know. You got a whole list of stuff.
Yeah, I know. Watching. So we're going to do 5 specific predictions, Dan. 5 categories: a political prediction, a cultural prediction, a church prediction, sports prediction, and a personal prediction. So, I mean, you really have the most power over the personal prediction. But so you better hit that one. But I thought we'd just start with the sauciest topic, and that is a political prediction. Dan, what is your political prediction? It's an election year.
Yep.
What's your prediction?
They're all kind of combined together, but I've got it's kind of like a clump of them.
Okay.
I believe Joe Biden wins re-election.
Okay.
I believe that Trump will dispute it yet again.
Yes.
I believe the Republicans are going into the election overconfident, and like what happened in 2020 and 2022, they are completely out of touch with the reality of our nation politically because they spend so much time watching what I am quickly approaching. I'm ranting.
Yeah, keep coming. Let's go.
The
Red
point
meat.
where I don't believe philosophically and positionally there is much difference in terms of unreliable extremism between MSNBC and Fox News. So I believe that because they're getting most of their news from Fox News, they have a tilted view of a twisted view of where the country
where
really is. I believe that the House goes back to the Democrats, and I believe the Republicans at best will have a 1-seat margin, more likely a tie. And if Joe Biden wins, that means that the Democrats retain control of the Senate, and as a result, the Democrats will be the party in power for a generation like they were in the House for 40 years in the mid-1900s.
Well,
I also believe the primary factor
Yeah.
is going to be the abortion issue because it motivates women and young people, which they must have to win. And the reality is the pro-life national organizations have done such a pathetic job since the overturn of Roe versus Wade that we don't even have a voice, let alone a position that counters what they're saying.
Okay, well, welcome to that cheery prediction from Dan Morrell. You can write your letters.
I hope I'm wrong on several counts. That the presidential race, I don't care. I think they're both a mess. But on the others, there's several. I think divided government is the best we can hope for.
Because people are complaining. We barely passed any laws in 2023. I was like, thank God.
Yeah, like that's a bad thing.
Please give me gridlock so no one does anything to screw anything up.
Yeah.
So my political predictions are a little bit different than yours. I don't know who's going to win. I want to vomit in my mouth the fact that we've got the same 2 candidates in 2020. I don't know how else to say this. Yeah. I'm just it's just despicable to me. Anyways, my 2 specific predictions are we will see someone surpass the percentage of third-party numbers that Pro got. I believe that.
Oh,
that's bold.
I'm going to beat you with that one because I just don't see that happening.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's where I'm at right now. This is January.
No. I want you to take that a step further.
Yeah.
And whom will it be?
I think that okay, so can I change it a little bit? I think between RFK and the guy from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, I think they're going to combined pull enough away from both parties that there will be a significant percentage. All I'm saying is there's going to be, because I think people look at, everyone already has an opinion about Trump and Biden. They kind of know what they're getting, and I believe that probably what people are saying is over half of the populace in the United States are like, this is horrible. Right. They don't want this rematch, yet the embedded powers that be in both political parties, this is who they're putting up there. And again, for the life of me, I don't understand why any Republican would want Trump to run again. I cannot understand that. The fact that he's winning, and we do have qualified other candidates to choose from. I will never understand that. But
by the way, Manchin, I believe if he were at the top of a third party run, that would be, to me, I think
there's a potential there.
Yeah, so, he's probably the only Democrat I would ever consider voting for in this very narrow circumstance, simply because
send your letters to.
I'm not saying I would vote for him. But I'm more likely to vote for him than I am the other two guys.
Okay, well, so that's my one. I think we're going to see a influence of third party that has some kind of effect on the outcome of the election. My second prediction is we will not know who the president is until 2025. I think there's going to be chaos like there was last time. I think that's really and no matter who wins, I think there's going to be, Trump set a precedent of losing badly. And I think the Democrats are going to take a page from his book, and they're going to do the same thing that he did in 2020. Even, regardless of who wins or loses, both parties are setting up a disputed election. Yeah. And I think that's what's going to,
which sadly will end up in the Supreme Court again. And every time the Supreme Court has to deal with a political matter, it damages them. So that's going to be rough.
Anyways, man, we just started off really
thank you
bright
for joining
and
us.
cheery.
I mean, it's 2024. If it's going to be a horrible year, let's predict. Because we should do an episode at the end of the year going over the predictions.
We should
and make a note.
So like you need a third party candidate to do better than 19%.
Yes.
That's what Perot did.
Yeah.
So that's
combined between RFK and
I think they'll be on the same ticket.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right.
If they run at all.
Wait, okay, so now I need clarity. You're not saying that one third-party candidate will get more than Perot did? You're saying like the combination?
I think the combination of the libertarian. I'm just saying
it'll be the most votes ever gone to.
I think the greatest percentage of the Republicans, they're going to be the lowest percentage of votes for the two major parties.
Got it.
That's that's my prediction. I changed it a little bit, but you give me grace.
I'll give you grace.
Dan's a gracious person.
I am very gracious.
Okay. Colt, you have a cultural prediction for me, Dan?
Well, I thought it was societal, but yeah.
Societal, whatever. I mean,
I predict a financial disruption that is connected to housing prices and personal and government debt will occur that will result in a major adjustment in both housing prices and how we get higher education. I also believe there's going to be a merging of many of the streaming services, or some of them are just going to flat go out of business. There's way too many. And just like the phone companies did, there's got to be a merging dissolution. I believe malls are going to disappear rapidly.
Well, what are they going to do? What are the buildings? I mean, what are you going to do with the buildings?
I don't know what they're going to do with them, but they may tear them down because they're big enough, tear them down and turn them into housing developments. And I also believe that more retirees are going to be forced to go to work, return to work, or work longer because Social Security is going to grow increasingly more precarious. They're going to start having to tax it, or just simply it can't keep up with inflation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dan is 2 for 2 for bright and cheery predictions.
Well, I am nothing but an ever-loving optimist.
What were you expecting?
And they get worse from here.
It's Dan in the beginning of one of the worst political years ever. Like it's not going to be rainbows.
You are getting a glimpse into Dan's head right now.
A dark place.
Societal prediction, cultural prediction. I believe. And this is kind of 2024 and beyond. I think we're going to see artists from a Christian perspective, Christian worldview, create better art than their secular counterparts moving forward.
Wow, that's ambitious.
And the reason I say that is because the woke ideological mob is going to make the same mistake that Christian movies have made for generations, and that is they have to have an agenda. Like, think about the Christian movies. It was, storytelling became a backseat to the person getting saved at the end of the movie. And so there was always an agenda that you had to have this agenda in the storytelling, and it just left the storytelling become mediocre. We are now seeing that through Disney with Star Wars. I mean, you just pick the major studio, and the woke ideological force that is social Marxism that has taken over most of the entertainment industry is creating poor movies and shows, because they are now having to tell, you got to have this in there, you got to have this in, and storytelling has taken a back seat. And I think it's going to create a void now for people that want to tell good stories to step into a void and tell really good stories with purpose and value and meanings. Anyways, that's my cultural prediction, societal prediction.
Write it down and put it in a safe.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but we're going to start seeing the trend of Christians creating better movies than their secular counterparts. Okay, we'll see. Dan, church prediction.
I believe we will continue to move toward a confrontation within evangelicalization. Let me try that again. I believe that we're going to continue to move toward a confrontation within evangelicalism that addresses the nationalization and politicization of the church in America in light of its actual biblical and universal worldwide mission. I believe that it's going to get to a point of confrontation and intolerance toward the two sides.
Interesting.
I'm almost there.
Yeah.
So,
well, Barna just came out with his 2023 kind of all the data that they collected in 2023, and I think they had a favorability rating from Jesus, spirituality, pastors, church, and at the bottom of the list was evangelicals. I mean, they rated, I think, 26% favorability rating. So I mean, and the reason that is because people connect evangelicals to the politics, and that's unfortunate. We are now known more for our political stances than we are about the gospel.
Yeah, and my second one, which was kind of across categories, but I believe it's connected to this, is I believe you're going to see an intense increase in attacks on homeschooling, particularly religious homeschooling. I believe, in fact, I know there's research going on right now trying to build a case in the Ivy Leagues schools, but I believe that the teachers' unions, the left-wing elites, higher academia, they're going to have to deal with the homeschooling problem. Because it undercuts their ability to indoctrinate. Yeah. And it takes it out of the hands of the professionals and puts it in the hands of parents, and they're not going to tolerate that long term.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I do believe that's going to happen. Okay, my church prediction is it's going to get harder and harder for churches to find qualified pastors.
Yep.
If there's one thing you and I have experienced as we have, searched after pastors to fill in positions here, is there are candidates. I don't think that there hasn't been a necessarily drop in people that have degrees, but what there is people that lack the character, the experience, and the ability to actually do the work of pastoral ministry. And so I think that churches are going to have a very hard time. The average age of a pastor, I think, is 57, 58 right now. 1 in 4 pastors have said that they are definitely retiring before 2030. So I think that Dan's one of them. So I think that there's going to be this giant crisis that most churches are going to fall into to say, we either have to lower our standards, which is never a good idea, or we're going to have to start training from within to make sure that we have candidates that we are raising up ourselves. And so that's my church prediction for 2024. It's going to get harder to find qualified pastoral candidates. Okay, something fun. This should be a little bit cheerier, Dan, hopefully. Sports prediction.
Oh, no, this is not cheery for me. Nope.
All right, here's the challenge. You've got to give one positive.
Oh, this ain't happening.
You got to give one.
No, there is. My last one is
different categories.
Okay. So what's your sports prediction, Dan?
I predict the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to win the Super Bowl.
Who cares?
That's it. I'm out. This is the last episode
No,
of Life.
I agree. I agree with you on that.
I specifically believe that it'll be the Ravens versus the 49ers, and the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl. On a more serious and general note, I believe that women's sports will either collapse as we know them, or there will be some effort to start a trans league for people who are mentally ill and think that they're females in a male body.
Okay. Send your letters to Life Talks.
Bring them
I know.
on.
I'm joking about that, but
I think if they don't do some of women's sports,
it's going to be.
and there's some things going on politically in this world I don't understand. The silence of feminists in the collapse of
Common sense.
Yeah, but the onslaught of the male to female trans movement. That doesn't make sense that they're so silent. The other that does not make sense to me is the homosexual left endorsement of Hamas, which I see all over Facebook. My gay friends are so anti-Israel, so pro-Hamas, and I'm thinking they would tie you people to chairs and throw you off multi-storied buildings if they had any chance at all of getting away with it. And I do not understand their support for that. But the left is collapsing on itself at some level.
Okay. So my sports prediction is I'm going to go out on a limb here because the Ravens,
Washington Redskins are going to win the Super Bowl.
No. Well, first of all, I've got a couple sports predictions here. I've got a few.
Oh, please make one about the Panthers getting a new owner.
No, welcome to my life with Dan Snyder for 25 years. Okay. So we finally have hope. Anyways, my sports prediction, the Super Bowl is going to be 49ers Bills. That's my prediction.
Oh, no.
49ers.
I want to put money on this one.
I think there's going to be a giant upset. The Bills are going to upset the Ravens. It's in the 49ers. The 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl.
Recreational marijuana is not allowed in North Carolina.
So what do you?
Because you are smoking and inhaling.
Gosh. I'm trying to make bold predictions here, Dan. I'm not going with the crowd here. I'm just going with my gut.
Isn't it ironic that the one that we really disagree on is this important one of sports?
No, I haven't seen Dan so passionate before.
I can't stand the Bills.
Really?
Yes, and thank you, Wrights, for putting up with me on that because there's some friends of mine.
My other sports prediction is that the United States men's soccer team is going to make it to the semifinals of the Copa America and beat Brazil. They're going to beat Brazil to get to the semifinals. That's
somebody wake me up when this prediction.
Take it home.
They put me in a coma.
All right, I'm telling you, I'm making bold predictions here. My third prediction is that the Washington Commanders will change their name again.
I hope you're right on that one.
I went from Washington Redskins to Washington Football Team to Washington Commanders. And if you are a true fan like me, you absolutely despise that name. It just anything that reeks of Dan Snyder, you're like, I want it out. I'm done with it. I don't care what they name it. I just want anything that had to do with Dan Snyder gone. So I think they're going to change the name. They're not ever going to change it back.
I have some suggestions. But I really like my job.
Yeah, I know.
Podcast.
Washington losers, the Washington pansies. I mean, I can hear you right now, Dan. Anyways, my fourth sports prediction, is that the Chinese are going to win the medal count in the Olympics.
Huh.
Does
anybody watch the Olympics anymore?
Oh, my wife does. I mean,
really?
I watch. I mean, it's just for those 2 weeks.
Back in the 70s, in the height of the Cold War, the entire nation would shut down and watch it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've watched an Olympic event in the last 4 Olympics.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple events I really enjoy watching, but
like what's your favorite Olympic?
I think there's the
figure skating, rhythmic dancing.
No. I think that the swimming one is really good. I think all the swimming races. I mean, people love races. The track and field races are fun. I want to watch Team USA basketball. I think those are some enjoyable things. So yeah, I mean, I like the Olympics. I would like to think that we're going to be better, but I think again, I heard a statistic that 77% of young people today could not qualify for the military because we're so obese and overweight, out of shape.
Which percentage?
77% of young people today
Wow.
could not qualify for the basic level of entry into the military. That's a serious problem. And I think that's across the board. It's going to affect all of us, whether, athletics, military. It's just
Healthcare.
There's some serious issues that we have with our nutrition and all kinds of, gaming, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, those are my sports predictions. Okay. All right, Dan, I hope something cheery. We got a couple minutes left.
I've got a realistic one, and then I've got a cheery one.
Okay.
I think it's cheery to me.
Okay. Personal. Okay.
I will either lose 20 pounds
Yes. I love that, Dan.
or have another heart attack in the next 12 months.
Oh my gosh.
Dan,
No, seriously.
what are you doing to us?
No, seriously.
Ground.
This coming Monday
Please
is
pray for Dan today.
my 3-year anniversary, and I'm within 3 pounds of my weight when I had my first heart attack.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's to me, it ought to be a kick in the pants to myself.
Yes.
And I've lost 3 pounds since January 1st.
Okay.
But that's nothing.
Yeah, all right.
1%. Well,
Okay.
it's 1%. But okay, so the other one is I'm going to start writing more. I put my
like that.
pen up several years ago,
Mhm.
and I've got the itch to get it back
Oh, I
out.
love
so,
that.
nice.
I love when Dan
See,
writes.
I
I do.
I get in trouble.
It's so entertaining.
That's cheery for us, though.
Yeah, you're entertaining, Dan. So my personal prediction for me is that I will run a race this year. I haven't run in a race since I was 30 years
Can
old.
I bring up a bad memory?
What? What?
I remember one year when you told me, this has been about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? Do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
That you were going to run a triathlon.
No, I did a duathlon.
No, you said triathlon.
Oh, I can't swim.
And then I, well, that was part of it. You were, and then I was
can I tell you quick?
teasing you about it, and you kind of like
can I tell
did
you
the backstroke.
Can I tell you the
except
quick?
You can't do
can I tell you the
backstroke
quick? Yeah, I can't. I can't swim. I went to a coach at the YMCA to teach me how to swim. And if you knew how many swimming lessons my mom gave me as a child, you would be like,
this is something we have in common. You know, I don't swim either, right?
I'm 6'3". That's the only thing that saves me when I'm in water. But
You can stand up and touch the bottom.
that's the only thing that saves me. But I literally went to this professional coach that trains triathletes to teach me how to swim. And after about 2 weeks, he's like, I can't help you.
You're gonna die.
Wow.
He literally said, I cannot help you. I'm broken. There's something about the way that my body moves in water that I don't do it. Like the regular, just moving my arms, swimming,
Are you
turning
generally physically coordinated in other areas? Like, could you play drums? Do you think? Or
I
is
have
that like
no
also
idea. I can
like
play
there's
basketball.
no way?
I'm not high on the coordination athletic ability. I have to work really hard to get anywhere athletically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not.
So what kind of race are you considering?
I'm just going to do a running race. And the reason
a running race.
The only reason I
could do
haven't
a car race.
No. The reason I am because I have had some major issues with my IT band, which is excruciating when you run after a certain
I have
point.
no idea what an
So
IT band is.
your IT band runs from below your knee cap to all the way above your hip. And if that is tight, when you try to run, it is really painful. So I finally have gotten to the point where I'm able to run without pain. And so I'm going to run in a race this year.
That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
cheer you on.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate
Or
that.
I'll run with you and have a heart attack. And then
Dan,
we can
let's do it
we
together.
Can fulfill two
no,
at the
no.
same
Let's do
time.
a fundraiser, Dan. You and I running. We could raise money for. You picked a missions project.
You'll have to put a Milky Way bar on a line in front of me.
Let's do the Krispy Kreme race where we run and we eat a dozen donuts at the end.
I could and a nitroglycerin between each one.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I hope that I don't know what your predictions are. You know, we did a little bit different than resolutions. We might be completely wrong.
I predict we are wrong.
I pray to God that we are wrong in a lot of these things.
Particularly Dan.
How have you not used the phrase "you're being predictive but not descriptive" yet? Like, you keep saying it in all the other ways.
We call ourselves theologians.
Yes. But hey, I hope this has been an enjoyable episode. What are your predictions? I don't know what they are, but it's fun to think about those kinds of things. The good thing that we can all rest in is God knows what's going to happen. And so Dan and I, if you don't like what we have to say, just trust in God. He's over it all. We can trust in him. I hope that gives you a lot of peace and rest today. Thanks again for joining us on Life Talks. We'll talk to you next time.